Rams house. Welcome into a brand new episode of the Rams Report. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit more about the joint practice. And then I promise we're going to put it in the rearview mirror because I think that's what we need to do as a fan base right now. But this will be the last notes we have on the joint practice. Just some things I wanted to kind of get out of the system, some things I was hearing that we didn't quite cover in yesterday's takeaways that I wanted to make sure we got checked off. Again, welcome to a brand new episode of the Rams Report. As always, we're presented by Prize Picks. Guys, sign up for Prize Picks with code HMA. And when you win your first $5 lineup, you can get $150 in bonus lineups. But before we get into the show, I want to know from you guys, we got a game this week, guys. The Rams play football this week. Let's go, man. Get fired up about that. Who will be, now that you're fired up, now that you got your energy in the right direction, who will be the MVP of the first preseason game for the Rams? The first time we see the Rams take the field in 2026 in a real game setting. I want to know, who do you think is going to be the MVP of that one, of what will, I think, be a big Rams win over the Kansas City Chiefs? Even though the starters won't be playing, I think our backups got us in this one. But let's talk some notes out of the joint practice as you give me your MVPs. I want to tell you about the MVP of joint practice for the Los Angeles Rams. We noted him a little bit yesterday, but I don't think I did him enough justice. I want to talk about Byron Young. Agent Zero balled out yesterday, guys. It was a damn good day from Agent Zero, especially when you consider who was not out there with him. Myles Garrett was rested yesterday with knee soreness. He was on the field, but in street clothes. He wasn't practicing. He was on the sideline. That'll become relevant later on today's show. We'll talk about Myles a little bit and what he did get up to, even though it wasn't practice. I still loved what we saw from him. So stay tuned for that. But on Byron Young, I did tweet out yesterday that he was consistently beating Terence Steele in team drills. You may have seen this tweet if you follow me over on Twitter. Stay locked in on Rams news over there. But he was kicking Terence Steele's ass early on in these team drills, and I said consistently beating. And again, I wish I had done a little bit more for him. I wish we talked about it a little bit more. But Nate Atkins kind of reminded me when I was reading his write-up, which he put out a little bit after we put out our takeaways, and I was just like, man, I didn't talk enough about Byron Young. And that's the main reason why we're back today to talk a little bit more about this, because Nate did a great job with his write-up here. Byron Young had a field day against Cowboys right tackle Terence Steele. He won with speed around the edge, one time so freely that he actually overran a sack that Prescott turned into a short scramble by dipping around his speeding body. He won with the bull rush at times, including one rep where he drove the pocket back so deep into Dak Prescott that the Cowboys quarterback was left chucking the ball over McDuffie's tight coverage on the outside just to get it away. Man, that gets you fired up, doesn't it? That should get you fired up. The idea that Byron Young is out there just bullying people on this Cowboys offensive line. He was giving it to Terence Steele. He was taking his lunch money. He switched over to the other side at points and took Tyler Guyton's lunch money as well. He was a beast out there. They could not handle him. And again, that should get you fired up primarily because he was rushing across from Josiah Stewart yesterday. That's not who he's going to be rushing across from in games, guys. It's going to be Myles Garrett. There's a good chance you're going to have Aaron Donald in the middle of that defense as well, alongside Kobe Turner and Poona Ford alternatively. Guys, it's a terrifying unit, and Byron Young is set to feast. I was on First and Tuna today. Definitely go check that out after you're done watching this. But we were talking about Byron Young, and I said it, and Tuna agreed. I think he could be a 17.5-plus guy this year. 17.5 sacks, 15 sacks. He could stuff the stat sheet. I said it. I think he's going to be a national name by the end of today's season. A household name by the end of this season will be Byron Young. I'm very fired up about what we've seen so far out of Agent Zero. And I'm also fired up about what we've seen from Terrance Ferguson, guys. In just a minute, we're going to be talking about what we heard from the play log from this practice and how good Terrance Ferguson was. But before that, we got to give a shout out to Courtyard. Today's show is made possible by Courtyard, guys. Courtyard is a digital marketplace that lets collectors rip digital packs of real, authentic, graded cards. Head to courtyard.io and use code HMA at checkout for 15% off. And guys, right now, we are about to rip a pack. This is what it looks like when you rip a pack on Courtyard. And what's really cool about the poll we're about to get is it could be yours. We're going to be giving this card away. All you have to do to enter our giveaway is comment your Courtyard username as a reply to our pinned comment, and we will be choosing a winner at random at the end of the week. Guys, let's see what we got here. Oh boy, a PSA 10. This is a Dameon Pierce PSA 10 rated rookie card. So this one could be yours. All you have to do is enter the giveaway in the comment section below and sign up for Courtyard. Head to courtyard.io and use my code HMA at checkout for 15% off. And remember, comment your username to enter the giveaway. The link is in the comments and the description of today's show. Thank you, Courtyard, for sponsoring the video. A lot of Rams fans are upset with Cowboys beat reporters and the way they covered joint practice yesterday. I understand your frustration. I feel some of that myself. Absolutely, I do. But don't take that out on guys like Nick Harris. Don't take that out on people that don't deserve it, because Nick Harris, he does excellent work for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, and he gave us a full play-by-play log of every single play from this joint practice, every single snap from this joint practice. And I read through that whole thing. Don't go do that, by the way. Go like the tweet. Say thank you for Nick Harris for doing that. But don't waste your time reading an entire play-by-play log from a joint practice. Not worth it for you. They pay me money to do that. But here's what I took away. The biggest takeaway. 7 receptions on 8 targets for Terrence Ferguson in this thing. He balled, man. He balled with the first team. He was running with the first team exclusively. Matthew Stafford clearly identifying him early as a favorite target. I took the extra step. I got every Ferg play here documented for you guys, because I want you to be able to see this again without having to spend a little bit of your time combing through a play log, because it's a bit of a drag, I'm not going to lie. But here's what you need to know. Crossing routes. 8-yard crossing route. He got a deep crosser where there was a busted coverage by Caleb Downs, according to Nick Harris on this one, and that allowed Terrance Ferguson to get an absolutely huge gain. He also got another big one where he took advantage of a mismatch. He identified Donovan Ezeiruaku, who was on him in coverage, got out in a hurry on an edge rusher, clear mismatch, obvious mismatch, called for the ball, got it, big gain on Donovan Ezeiruaku in this Cowboys defense. The only incompletion targeting him was a red zone look. They said it was a play-action rollout to the left where Stafford just missed Terrence Ferguson in the end zone on what would have been a touchdown had they connected. It's clear that exactly what I've told you guys will be the case around Terrence Ferguson this season is starting to become the case. And it's happening in practice. And I think the Rams don't want to show their hand too much with all the 13 personnel that they do. So maybe he hasn't been as much of a camp standout as a lot of people would have hoped for. Maybe he hasn't been flashing in those camp practices. For those of you guys who have been out there, I've heard that Terrence Ferguson hasn't been as notable as you maybe would like to think. But I think that's because the Rams, they don't want to show their hand. They know you guys are recording them. At the end of the day, they do. Sean knows that. He knows we're taking videos when we're out there at camp. We being the fans, we're out there in the stands. That's what we want to do. We want to get those out on Twitter. We want to see what the Rams look like. But the Rams, they want to protect their plan. They're so secretive. They're very non-transparent when it comes to a lot of this stuff, and they shouldn't be transparent when it comes to a lot of this stuff. They need to protect what they think is an X factor and what his role is going to be. And I'm telling you guys, it's going to be much larger than it was last season. We've talked about this before. Ton of mouths to feed in this Rams offense. It's not going to be crazy gaudy numbers, but it's going to be a massive improvement over what you saw last season. And the eye test is going to show that Terrence Ferguson has greatly improved, and he was cooking that Cowboys defense yesterday at joint practice. I was very, very happy with what we were hearing. Next up, I want to talk about some of the defensive formation stuff we were seeing out of this. Let's get a little technical here. Shout out to Nate Atkins. Again, really good stuff from his takeaways from practice. he documented some formation stuff, which we don't usually see out of the beats. I don't usually describe formations that the Rams or any team lined up in, but I was happy to see that he did that. I was happy to see that we got that kind of information. I know a lot of people were frustrated with the lack of live tweeting, but I think you got to understand, like, some people do things differently. Nate is one of those guys where he handles his business a little bit differently as a beat reporter. There's ultimately nothing wrong with that, because even if you're not going to live tweet, if you're going to give us great in-depth takeaways from practice later on, I love every part about that, brother. And he gave us some absolutely great stuff. Let's read this. Los Angeles lived in lots of dime personnel, something it led the league in last season, but it can get more creative and versatile with McDuffie's ability to play inside and outside, in addition to the growing versatility of Cam Curl and Quentin Lake. McDuffie often slid inside in these settings. Take note of that, guys. Store that away in the back of the head. Playing a little bit of nickel corner alongside Quentin Lake, a second nickel corner on the field, which threw off the matchups the Cowboys were hunting for by motioning Pickens and Lamb into the slot, or a normal method to expose the lacking coverage of most teams they face. So fascinating. It's going to be, and we've heard McVay hint at this a little bit, with when asked about, like, what do you value in the secondary? What are you looking for out of guys that you bring in from a secondary perspective? He talks about versatility a lot, and Trent McDuffie's the definition of it. He can play that nickel role at a very high level. So can Quentin Lake. So can Cam Kinchins. Jalen Watson can even slide in. You've got a lot of guys who can do a lot of different things for you, and I think they're absolutely going to take advantage of that. Don't expect Trent McDuffie to just line up on the boundary. I think Kansas City, that was one of the downfalls that they had last season in their usage of Trent McDuffie. He was too much out on the boundary. He's very versatile, and you got to take advantage of the ability to use that, to confuse defenses, to create different looks, to show them different things. And I think the Rams are absolutely going to key in on that and tap into that strength of Trent McDuffie, and that gets me really excited. And it also kind of reveals, like, what is Quentin Lake's role in this evolving defense? Is he still going to continue to play the nickel role? Absolutely. That's where he's thrived over the last couple of years, so that's not going to change, but they're also not going to take away what Trent McDuffie does so well in his versatility, while also still allowing Quentin Lake to play well. Everyone's going to get to kind of do what they do well at the same time, and that's something to get really excited about, guys. At the end of the day, it really is. Next up, we're going to keep talking about some last-minute notes out of training camp practice, but before we get to that, I want to tell you guys about Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app, and the presenting sponsor of the Rams Report and here at Chat Sports. Guys, if you've ever watched this before, I know you know all about Prize Picks, but if you've never heard of them before, it's time to cash in with America's #1 sports picks app, and the best place to turn your ball knowledge into cash. The app is super easy to use. All you have to do is pick more or less on a few player stats, and you're locking in your daily fantasy lineup. And with the social feeds feature, guys, it's easier than ever to place a Prize Picks lineup. You could share a Prize Picks lineup with your buddies. You could copy their lineups with a single click. You can tail them. You can fade them. Whatever you want to do. You can even follow me as well, guys. I'm on Prize Picks at Jackson Durham is my username, and you guys can see all the crazy lineups I've been putting together, including this one, some season-long projections for professional football on this, John. 5 to win 395 smack-a-roons. And again, you guys can tail me, you can fade me, whatever you do, just do it with Prize Picks. And if you're a brand new user, make sure you take advantage of their new user offer. Play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win that first $5 lineup. Just use code HMA when you sign up. That's right, Prize Picks just switched up their offer, so there's no better time to join, lock in, and win that first lineup. That's code HMA at sign up to get $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 lineup. Thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's video. We always appreciate them. Let's close out today's video with some closing notes around, not all of this comes from the joint practice, but some of it just is stuff I want to talk about. Aaron Donald's workout on Monday. I posted the clip of this. I quote tweeted it from 210's agility and speed. They shared another video of Aaron Donald working out at the Rams facility on Monday, so you probably saw that already. But what was interesting is Desjuan Johnson, who was working out with him, was asked about that workout yesterday during the joint practice. And what he told media was that Aaron Donald looks faster than ever. That Aaron Donald said He said Aaron Donald seemed to have more of a will to play than he'd ever seen. And that's something to get fired up about here, guys, because what have we been told is the missing piece? is finding that fire, finding that drive. So it really seems like Aaron Donald is starting to kind of rediscover that. Even though Sean McVay said no new updates around it yesterday, I think we're very close to having a new update. Next up, this was fun. There was a little bit, and this happens typically at joint practices, you get a little bit of a scuffle going. You get a little bit of a dust up between two teams. Everybody's been hitting each other for the last couple of weeks. You've been hitting your own teammates. You finally get the chance to hit another team, and you probably do it a little bit harder than you should in a practice setting. Not going to lie. However, we got into the mix with the Dallas Cowboys. A brief scuffle broke out, and what I love to hear was that Myles Garrett jumped in. Even though he wasn't in pads, even though he wasn't practicing, he saw his boys getting into the mix. He knew he had to go defend his teammates. He knew he had to go be out there with them, being the leader that he is. This is what Nate Atkins said about the practice scuffle. Linebacker Omar Speights kept bringing the heat. He laid a hit during a goal line drill that had Cowboys offensive and Rams defensive players from the sideline running in for a giant scrum. The group included Myles Garrett, who was in street clothes and wasn't practicing. Again, that is the exact kind of leadership you want to see from a guy you are building your defense around. And that is Myles Garrett's role. It's to be the anchor point of this defense. It is to be the guy for this team for years to come. And he's already setting the tone that these are his teammates, these are his boys, and if you're going to mess with them, you're messing with him. He's coming off the sideline. Even if he's not in pads, he's not even suited up. He doesn't care. He's going out there to get in the mix with other guys who are in full pads, in full uniform. He's there in street clothes, ready to go for his boys. And I absolutely love that kind of leadership and that kind of fight from a guy who's only been a Ram for a couple of months, but is already that proud of the horn on the side of his helmet, the logo on his jersey. He knows exactly what team he's on, to be honest with you guys. He does. And he's going to fight for that team every single day. And I fucking love that. Let's finish out with a final note here. This has been frustrating me a lot. I'm not going to lie. Stop posting photos of the scoreboard from joint practice. It is genuinely, it's kind of embarrassing. I'm not going to lie. I've seen guys on both sides do this, and all it tells me is you have never looked at a joint practice before or any NFL practice setting whatsoever, because that scoreboard that you are seeing is a scenario scoreboard, alternatively referred to as a simulation scoreboard. Its role is to present the players with the scenario they are practicing for. That's what it does. So, here's set the scene for you. We're in a 2-minute drill. I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock. You're down by 7. We're setting the score to Rams 28, Cowboys 21. Cowboys, go run your 2-minute offense. Go try to tie the game. That's the scenario. That's what you're practicing. That's how it works. It doesn't mean the score was 28-21 Rams in the practice. This wasn't a scrimmage. Nobody was keeping score. I don't know where that rumor came from to begin with, but I'm going to put it to bed right here, at least for you guys, because it's silly. It's nonsense. And again, this is the last time we're going to talk about this joint practice. It's not something to be victory lapping on either side. It's practice. We're talking about practice, to quote Allen Iverson. All right. That's enough of that. Later on today's show, on another episode, actually, we've got the unofficial depth chart for you guys ahead of the first preseason game. A lot of takeaways from that thing, so stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, and don't miss it.